For Flex Lewis, I was such a fan of him while I was competing next to him. I wanted to get to know him and I wanted to be friends with him and I wanted almost like mentorship from him. And on the other hand, we're competitors and he doesn't want to give his title up to some kid that just came along the scene.
Could you break down the Olympia in terms of like the 212 Open and like just for somebody who doesn't know?
Yeah, so there's 4 men's divisions in bodybuilding in the Mr. Olympia and IFBB Pro League. We have the first being men's physique, that is the board shorts, and then you have classic physique, which is like a step up from men's physique. It's in between men's physique and open bodybuilding, I would say. It's a height to weight ratio and more of an aesthetic appeal. Not to say that open bodybuilding or 212 isn't aesthetic, because it is, but there's, like I said, a height to weight ratio in the classic division that kind of limits how big you can get. And then the 212 division is any bodybuilder, like an open bodybuilder who can be under 212 pounds, can compete in that division. So same standards as open bodybuilding, the 212 bodybuilding is more for, I would say, shorter bodybuilders. Typically, I would say 5'2" to 5'4" is the most ideal. Me being like 5'6", I was a little bit on the taller end of that division. So I was kind of in the middle of 212 and open. So open is the ultimate title. Like the Mr. Olympia, open bodybuilding Mr. Olympia title is the Mr. Olympia title. So not to get confused, there is only one Mr. Olympia title given each year, and that is to the open bodybuilding division. And so there's no limits to that. There is judging criteria specific for open bodybuilding, similar to the 212, but there is no weight restrictions or any type of restrictions at all. So that is the ultimate title, is the open bodybuilding Mr. Olympia title.
And yeah, so I want to go to the 212s. I've made some notes on this. So yeah, going into the 212s, you said that it was one of the best periods of time for you because you were going up against Flex and there was this backwards and forwards and you were forced to grow. I'm curious as what that looks like, because people see bodybuilding as an individual sport, you know, they probably think it's just you versus you, but are you creating a profile of what he's doing? Can you see him training on the other side of the world? Like, how's it work for you mentally?
I absolutely love my competition. I really do. I think there was a time maybe that I was so competitive that I thought differently. But now, when I'm in the gym and I'm training, I know that these guys are giving it their all. And if I didn't have my competition that was pushing me, then I wouldn't be, you know, trying to reach my fullest potential. You need great competition to pull out your best. And so I don't think that Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, who I've mentioned already in this interview, I don't think that they would have been as exceptional as they are or were had they not had great competitors, right? Great athletes that were going up against them. So when I look at like a Flex Lewis, a Samson Dauda, Hadi Chupin, or any of these other guys, you know, I'm thankful for them. They really drive me to be all that I can be. And the days that I'm really grinding and I'm suffering and it's hard, I think about what they're doing. And I think whether or not they're pitying themselves, I don't choose to think like that. I think that they are resilient. They are hungry. They are willing to do whatever it takes to be great. I don't think that they're sitting there sobbing, oh, this is hard. No, they're some of the best in the world and they're gonna do whatever it takes to be the best. So if I wanna be the best, I have to exceed that. And so for me, they bring the best out of me. So I'm really thankful for my competitors pushing me by pushing themselves. And so for Flex Lewis, it was interesting for me to go up against him because I was such a fan. I was such a fan of him while I was competing next to him. So that one was so weird for me because on one hand, I wanted to be friends with him. I wanted to get to know him and I wanted to be friends with him and I wanted almost like mentorship from him. And on the other hand, we're competitors and he doesn't want to give his title up to some kid that just came along the scene. And so that was an interesting rivalry that he and I had. And, you know, he retired on top. And so it took me a couple years after that to get my 212 Olympia title. But, you know, like I said, now I look at the guys like Samson Dauda, Hadi Choopan, all the other guys. And, you know, I'm just thinking about how great they truly are and how much work that they're putting in. And I like to think that they don't pity themselves. They are hungry. They're savages. And so I have to be the same or more.
Just a quick interruption for the video, guys. As many of you know, we are independent creators and filmmakers, but there is a massive attack on us right now. Traditional media over the last few years has started to slowly die. They are no longer the independent voice that you first thought they were. That's why we've created Mulligan Brothers Patreon. We've built something special for our most dedicated supporters, and I want to break it down for you real quick. The supporter tier gets you ad-free early access to both video and audio versions of Mulligan Brothers interviews 24 hours before it goes public. The executive tier gets you everything that a supporter tier gets, plus more. Exclusive interviews and behind the scenes content, walk and talks, daily routines, unreleased interviews, the stuff that you don't see anywhere else. And finally, the executive producer tier. Everything from the supporter tier and the executive tier, plus exclusive perks. Access to our treatment packages. Be the first to see which guests are coming up and get insight into the topics we'll be discussing before anyone else. And you'll even get an executive producer credit on every single documentary that we make. So if you've ever wanted to support the Mulligan Brothers mission of inspiring change so we can go around the world and get these stories that nobody else will, this is exactly how you do it. Go to patreon.com/Mulligan Brothers or click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Join the community and help us inspire change. Let's dive back into the video.
At 212, you say you was caught in like a bit of an awkward place where you're a little bit bigger. What was your walking around weight off season when you were trying to get down to 212? Because some commitment to get down to that weight.
Yeah, I remember being pretty lean at 250 pounds, getting down to the 212. So from 250 pounds lean in the off season, I would cut down to 212. And people ask me, how did you do it? And I said, to be honest, I think that I had to pull out that wrestling mentality of you just make weight, you just don't miss weight, you do it, whatever it takes, you get down there. But when it comes to bodybuilding, it's a different game. It's not wrestling, it's not fighting, it's not any other sport, it's its own individual thing. And I just was never going to seek my fullest potential with a limitation of a weight cap. I was never gonna be my best at 212 pounds. And I was working so hard day in, day out and wanted to be my best, win, lose, or draw, that it really was a no-brainer. Whenever I had the opportunity to go open, I said, okay, like, let's do it. You know, win, lose, or draw, I want to be my best. And ultimately, everybody, I don't care what people say in any other division or whatever, if they were able to achieve the Mr. Olympia title, the open Mr. Olympia title, that is the ultimate title. And anybody would want to have that. So I don't care what anybody says in any other division. Even when I was in the 212, I never claimed to be Mr. Olympia. I claimed to be the 212 Olympia champion. I knew that the Mr. Olympia was for the open guys, and that's the most prestigious title. So yeah, I was hungry to get that Mr. Olympia title and make history by being the first 2-division champion. But also, if it didn't happen, I could still showcase my best. And that's where I am right now. That's how I feel, is that I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not afraid to do things that, you know, people tell me, don't do that, it's too risky, you know, you should just, you know, wait and compete once a year. No, I want to do something that is a risk, is a challenge, is going to make me elevate as a professional, but also as a person.